Hello, hello. Alrighty, people are still signing on, so we'll give it just a minute. While we're waiting for folks, if anyone has any questions about end of semester stuff, please feel free to ask away, either in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
I had a question about your email regarding the midterm and final.
Mhm.
So when you sent out if we were okay with our grade, did you mean that we were okay with like our overall grade for the class or our grade on the midterm?
Both, I guess, because your midterm grade is going to impact your overall grade, right? But I mostly mean the midterm. So
Okay.
if you're satisfied with your midterm grade, you don't need to do the final, because if you do the final and it's better, I'll replace the midterm with it. If you do the final and it's worse, I'll keep the midterm grade.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I looked at Blackboard and there's a lot of stuff people haven't turned in, and I was just like, how can I help them pass this class? And this is what I came up with, so hopefully it's helpful.
I definitely already asked you this question, but I forgot what your response was. But for extra credit for SONA participation stuff, are you adding that to an assignment or just to the...
Yeah, there will be a column. I actually need to, I'm glad you said something, because I need to contact Dr. Ariel, because for whatever reason, y'all's is not showing up. I did my abnormal class this morning, but for some reason, like, this class isn't showing up for me, so I don't know if he has it assigned to the wrong professor or something. So thank you for saying that. I meant to email him and then I had to go to campus, so I forgot. But as soon as I get that info from him, I'll enter it. There will be just like a column, and your points will go into your overall grade. Because remember, your grade in this class is entirely points based. So whether I add to an assignment or overall, it would kind of wash out the same way. But yeah, good question.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. Oh, Simba's here.
Yeah, thank you.
You come to say hi to everybody? Okay, they don't need to see your butt though. Alrighty, any other questions? So our presentations are a week from today at 11:30, just this normal Zoom link. Okay, so sign on like you would for class, just at a different time. So, and again, remember, those you can do a PowerPoint for if you want, but you're making me out of focus. Thank you. You can do a PowerPoint for if you want, or you can just talk. Just make sure you hit the talking points that are on the syllabus for that presentation. So that is, it's not meant to be scary or overwhelming. It really is just because there's a decent amount of writing in this class. It's an opportunity for y'all to get some points that aren't writing related for people who hate writing, basically. That's a big part of why I structure the service learning project the way I do, where you get points just for your hours and things like that, so that you have points that are not coming from written things, in case you are someone who's just not a big fan. So, and obviously you get points from your participation as well. So I sent that link out this morning. So that'll take you 2 minutes to fill out probably. So just do that between now and next week. When we are done next Wednesday, or Tuesday, sorry, which I'm hoping will be 1-ish at the latest. Like, I'm really hoping to kind of clip through these pretty quickly. Then I will basically grade everything that's left over, and try to get your grades submitted that day if I can. They actually only give me 48 hours to get your grades in anyway, but I know for those of you who are seniors and graduating, they typically want your grades by like that Wednesday morning. So I'll probably prioritize those, but try to get everybody's just in and done, and then you know that day and you don't have to worry about it. So. And so 11:30 next Tuesday, so a week from today, whatever date that is, I think the 4th, that will be your last possible opportunity to turn things in for this class. If you have anything outstanding, it has to be in by then. If not, you're gonna get a 0 on it. One thing I should say, I went in and put 0s for homeworks you missed and for assignments that you missed. if you would like the opportunity to do the ones that you missed, just email me and I can send you Word docs that you can just email back to me and then I'll grade. But when people hadn't reached out to me, and again, I'm just trying to like give you an idea of how you're doing in the class, that's sort of where I ended up. But I'm glad to change those if anyone wants to turn those in. All right, so things to be thinking about getting in if you don't already have them in include your hours log and service learning paper, your interview paper if you don't have that in. If you're choosing to do the final, you should get that in. If you did not do the midterm, you must do the final or you are gonna do really poorly in this class because you'll get a 0 out of 100. Okay, so yeah, please get that done. I don't like failing people, believe it or not. Like most professors don't, it's not fun. So, you know, I would love if you all did well to give you all A's, you know, but that's up to you and just getting stuff in at this point, honestly. So yeah, I know I've been understanding and accommodating the entire semester and I want to still be that, which is why I'm giving you another week to get stuff in. But then like, that's it, right? And then I just have to be realistic about what's in front of me and what I have the ability to grade. So yeah, just encourage you all to get stuff in. Any other questions?
I had one. You had sent out emails about things that we needed to turn in still. I got one for my interview paper and I got a grade, so I just wanted to make sure that maybe some got sent out.
Yeah, I might have just checked the wrong box. So.
Okay, I was like, maybe I'm just going crazy. But
If that happened to anybody else, I apologize. So, like, I was trying really hard to only check the people who are missing, but y'all know this year has been a long one for everybody. So it's entirely possible I checked the wrong person, and for which I deeply apologize.
It's okay, thank you. I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you checked. Didn't just freak out, because I would have. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do today is I have about a half-hour documentary about the Stanford Prison Experiment. This was done by the BBC. So even though the original Stanford Prison Experiment video can be pretty informative, I like this one better because it gives a little bit more of a unbiased perspective. It also gives some more information about sort of the context for things and what happened afterwards. So I think that's really helpful. And if you've never seen anything about the Stanford Prison Experiment, then this will still be informative, I think. So I have it all pulled up. So let me get ready to screen share it here. Alrighty. Make sure I'm sharing the sound, and actually I'm gonna pause the recording so we don't get a copyright strike recording so I can post our discussion. All right, so we have about 10 minutes. I think we can get through our discussion no problem during that time. So I'm gonna go ahead and share screen and just be sort of boring and have group one do question one, etc. Just because I think that that's sometimes just the easiest way to go. I am just pulling up the video panel. There we go. Alrighty, so group one was Jackie, Danny, and Naila. So go ahead and walk us through your answer.
So initially we were all pretty much like, you know, I was like, I'm a psych major, so I've heard about this experiment a lot, and it's always been something that just like bewilders me because it's so insane, the fact that these people were pretty much willing to do this, like willing to go into prison, willing to do what they did and not just get up and leave. You know, and that was the biggest thing that we talked about, was the fact that these people didn't just say, all right, this is enough, like I've had it and I'm leaving, I'm walking. So I think that was the biggest aspect that we look at, and the fact that the human brain just works in such a curious way that they didn't exactly decide we're just going to leave at this point. So I think that was our biggest aspect, was it just really confused us and it bewildered us in such a profound way, because it's such an insane experiment to look at.
Yeah, and I think that that's really accurate. So I didn't even get a chance to get through the whole thing, but I fell down a rabbit hole when you were in your groups, and I was reading about the Stanford Prison Experiment, and this came out a couple of years ago. When they released the tapes. So this came out in 2018. They released the tapes and all the documentation, put them in an archive, and then a lot more came out. And so essentially what came out is like the people didn't know they could leave. Like they were telling them they could only leave if they had like they needed medical help or psychiatric help. And he said that Zimbardo, when this guy interviewed him, said like in the consent form there was a safe phrase of "I quit the experiment." I love that, like most is BDSM, right? But then when they went and they looked at the text of the informed consent, that's not in there. So like they literally weren't letting people leave because they didn't know the safe word that wasn't actually in. It's like mind blowing when you read this. They like coach some of the guards, and so they manipulated it a lot more. Yeah, because I've always sort of wondered, like, you know, there is an element, I think, like you saw the like Cool Hand Luke guard talking about, right, of people buying into it. Yes. In Milgram, they said you must continue. That was actually part of their script. So they had like 3 scripted phrases that the person in the lab coat. That's the craziest thing about the Milgram experiment, is that people followed all those instructions, and all the person who was running the experiment had as a symbol of authority was a white lab coat. And they kept saying, you must continue the experiment. The experiment requires that you continue. And then if the participant said, who's responsible if something happens to him, they would say, I'm responsible. And that's how they got people to keep going. So yeah, I mean, things that would be unethical. Nice. Yeah, the lab coat is a big thing, right? Awesome. All right, so we'll go to question 2. And it sounds like group 1 had some interesting responses to that. So we have Hayden, Alexis, and Jordan. What did we learn from this experiment?
So we put that we learned that the environment can play a role in how like people think and act mentally. We also said that based upon like the power dynamics that were formed from the experiment, how status and power can like go to people's head. And then we also said that you know, this experiment kind of led to the development and adoption of additional ethical policies, because beforehand there was not as much of a concern about ethics and the impact of science.
Yeah. So like they did have a consent form, which is good, but I don't know that they had to run this through an IRB. I don't think those existed then. That sort of came about after this and the Milgram experiment and some medical experiments like the frickin' Tuskegee experiment, which is awful. So yeah, I think that that's a really good point, is that like they just didn't have the level of oversight we would have today, right? Right. Anything else? Either group 2 or you know, any of the other groups want to add about what did we learn from this? I thought that was really comprehensive. Awesome. All right. Well, group 3, what problems exist with this experiment or its methods? Like, what do you have?
Oh, we said that Zimbardo was playing multiple roles by being the head of the experiment, but also being like the headmaster or whatever of the prison. So he couldn't really separate those 2 roles and like see when things were getting out of hand. And then another problem that we kind of talked about in the beginning was that it was all young, white, middle-class men. So there was a big lack of diversity. And like, I think that caused a lot of problems too, and how much you can like apply this to other groups and stuff. And then we kind of talked about it in our questions before, but like obviously the mental and physical abuse of the patients and like the lack of care for their well-being.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that they were put through this, right? And it took Zimbardo's now wife. I mean, that's like another ethical violation, in my opinion, of this whole thing, is that he married his grad student Anyway, people do that, but I just think it's icky. Um, but yeah, like it took her sort of like an outsider perspective to be like, what the hell are you doing? Right. And if that hadn't happened, he probably would have just kept doing this for 14 days. Like God knows what would have happened at that point. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. All right, I'm gonna get through the next two groups. So go to group 4. So do we think that Michael Vick was actually rehabilitated?
So we said that it was pretty difficult to tell if someone's been rehabilitated because we don't really know him. When it comes to celebrities, we really have no clue what we are. We just have like what our ideals of them are in your head. You don't know what their intentions are. So while he might have done some things following his release, none of us were really present for any of his progress.
I think that's a really good answer. I think that's the first time anyone's ever phrased it that way, and I really like that. Yeah, it's kind of like me not being allowed to diagnose anyone, right? Like we're not there, we're not in his life, so we can't really tell. Excellent. I really like that. All right, let's power through to group 5 here. I do think celebrities get special treatment and get off easy when they commit crimes. Why or why not? And I realize I've stopped reading who was in the group. So CJ, Casita, Emily, and Michaela.
We basically said that, yeah, we definitely do think celebrities get off a lot easier because money is power at the end of the day. So they get to get the best lawyers, they get to make the best plea bargains and this, that, and the third. Like, look at freaking 6ix9ine. He was supposed to be getting like what, 25 to life, and he's getting what, 10 to 15 because they were like, well, if you just snitch on everybody else, we'll take off some time. And then there's like R. Kelly, who's been doing this for decades, abusing young girls, and he's still on trial.
Right.
Like he's not even in jail yet. He's just on trial. Bill Cosby, he was on trial for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they definitely do get off easier. So
Yeah, athletes get away with it. Harvey Weinstein. I was thinking as you were talking, Casita, about Trump too, right?
yeah, that bastard.
And there's like a level of immunity, but just like the fact that like he's committed treason multiple times and they've done nothing about it is just like, oh, right? They impeached him, but they didn't remove him from office. Like, anyway, that's a big, yeah. Like Casita, I agree. It could go down the rabbit hole. It's time. I want to let you all go. I threw the link to the Google form in the chat just in case you have time to just get it done now. So you don't forget. Feel free to do that. If not, it's in your email and on the announcements on Blackboard if you need to come back and do it later. Again, I'll see you a week from today, but I've just really enjoyed having you all this semester. You have offered such great insights. And really been engaged. And I know it's really hard to be engaged over this medium. So I really appreciate that. I'll stick around for a couple minutes in case anyone has any questions. If not, have a great next week. Good luck on all your other finals. I don't miss those of you who are graduating too. It's always bittersweet, right? Because like I'm so happy and proud for y'all. But then it's like, oh, but I don't see you anymore. Some of you have me this summer. That's excellent. Oh, I'm glad to, I don't always feel like I'm the best advisor. So thank you. I'm glad for that. Y'all are awesome. Seriously. I tell my husband good stories about y'all all the time. Just like my students are so cool. So yeah, I will see you a week from today at 11:30 a.m. This exact same Zoom link. Oh. I'm just gonna like print out this chat and hang it up for when I'm having a bad day. Thank you all. Take care of yourself, and I'll see y'all next week if I don't see you for something else before that.